And we talk a lot on this show about saving for your future and retirement plans, but you know, not all of them are created equal. So how do you decide if your employer plan is worthy of your money? I'm going to tell you what to look for. What is the deal with the U.S. Congress deciding yet again to do nothing to fix this problem with teachers, people who work for nonprofits, being offered absolutely horrendous, terrible, awful retirement plans called 403Bs, when the rest of us who have an employer-provided plan are offered a 401k. The 403B is so hideously awful. And it's happening to, particularly it's much worse, tends to be much worse for teachers than it is for people who work in a lot of other nonprofits like hospitals or university campuses. But here's what's going on. The lobbyists from the insurance industry got Congress to put in place a system that purposely gives teachers these terrible retirement plan choices that have gigantic commissions, humongous ongoing expenses, and on top of them, a hideous thing known as surrender charges. That if you realize, oops, I'm getting cheated, that you have no way out easily because they charge you these giant fees to leave the terrible plan to force you to stay in. It is just awful. Well, I saw data recently about how badly teachers are being hurt by these hideous plans that they're in. And of all people, you wouldn't expect to write about this. Barron's magazine, that writes to the wealthiest people in the country, wrote a story about how teachers are being cheated. And that teachers are being so ripped off in fees in these plans that a teacher putting the same money in a 403B as you or I who have access to a 401k are putting in the typical 401k are ending up with just a little bit more than half the money in retirement of somebody working for a private employer. So, I mean, it's unbelievable how bad the ripoff is. So they give an example here of a teacher contributing $250 a month to her 403B plan versus somebody at a private employer putting $250 in. The expenses are so high in the hideous garbage that the insurance companies cheat the teachers with, that, remember, they put in the same amount of money. The teacher ends up with $185,000. The private sector worker ends up with just under $350,000. So one ends up with almost double the money when they want to retire. The other contributing the same money all through the years. Here's what you need to know if you have a teacher in the family or you're one yourself or a friend's a teacher. The insurance companies hide how they're cheating you. They hide all the information on the fees. And the school districts, in some cases, the unions and others, are leaving the teachers with these awful, hideous, terrible options. So what should a teacher do instead? Do your own Roth IRA. Do your own Roth IRA, unless you happen to be that rare needle in a haystack who's in a school district or has a union that's actually offering good plans for you. If you are a teacher, go to 403bwise.org or com. Chris is checking. You go to 403bwise, which is the nation's only advocate specifically focused on teachers not being cheated in 403bs.
.org.
403bwise.org. Why does this mean so much to me? We have a hard time attracting and retaining awesome teachers. If you think back through your life, your formative years as a kid, there's likely some teachers who had impact on you that made a difference for you the rest of your life. I know I had that. You did, Krista.
Ms. Hunningsbaum, she listens to the show.
The point is, why is it that teachers are treated as fodder to fill the pockets of insurers that cheat them? Cheat them. Do you know the expenses on these 403bs tend to be 30 times what they are in a 401k? 30 times. The math is wrong. And what is wrong with our individual members of the U.S. House and our 2 U.S. senators from our state, that they don't care about these teachers, that they put them in a position like this? Now, I'm on this topic. There are some employers that offer not the best 401ks. Very rare they're ever going to be as bad as these 403bs. And you have a right to see what expenses you're having to pay, what administrative costs and investment expenses. By the way, you should be in index funds and a plan, more often an index version of a target retirement fund, unless you're really into investing and want to do your own allocation. And when you change jobs, Congress left another bad thing in the rules. Do you know that when you leave a job, if you leave your 401k behind at your old employer, that there are employers that then gouge you with expenses just as somebody who's no longer working there? That's not a common one, but it's something you need to be aware of. Enough said about this. Can you tell I'm fired up? I don't understand what happens in the minds of these politicians that they are so willing, everything they do to get elected, that they're then in a position where instead of helping their constituents, they specifically are part of conspiring to hurt them. And I'm sure not one of them would say that they don't value teachers, but they value the money from the insurance industry more.
Yeah, the 401k that you were talking about, like whenever somebody tells me they have their 401k through an insurance company, their work chooses an insurance company, I'm like, oh. Okay.
The insurance industry has actual reasons to exist that are good.
Right, for sure.
This is not an area.
Investments
is not when you should be at an insurance company, period.